deliver the message to the society and thereby decrease the incidence and prevalence of diabetes in our society.
So what is now, sir, prevalence?
Our prevalence is that across all age groups it's 14.1 and above the age of 30 it's 28%.
Do you think with this a huge number of diabetic people, we need to build a new diabetic centers?
I think we have studied our diabetic centers very carefully. We have 20. If we need, we will increase. But the most important is that we will make our primary healthcare centers our centers for treatment, inshallah.
My name is Robert Ford. I'm the Vice President at Abbott Diabetes Care, which is a division from Abbott Laboratories based in California, which focuses on the discovery and the development of glucose monitoring solutions.
Welcome, Mr. Robert. Can you tell us about the importance of this conference?
This is a really important step. I mean, diabetes is growing at alarming rates, and we are proud to partner with the MOH here in Saudi to be able to develop and implement this program. So many programs, don't really kind of take the necessary steps in it. I'm very proud that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the Ministry of Health, have kind of really put the resources and the focus behind addressing this growing issue of diabetes.
So do you think this kind of conference is going to go so far and so beneficial for Saudi Arabia?
Oh, I have no doubt. I think it starts with the awareness. We will then begin to distribute the glucose meters so that people can test themselves. But more importantly, there will be a lot of education in that distribution of those meters, so people understand, what is diabetes, how it affects, your body, and what are the best ways that you can take to be able to control it.
And the last word you want to say?
Just that we're very proud to be part of this initiative. There are very few governments that have taken this kind of proactive step to, again, put the resources, put the focus into something that, is going to have, if unchecked, will have big problems and burdens to society.
Can you tell us the main importance of this conference?
First of all, thank you very much for your comment. This is, first of all, it's a kind of education for all the patients who is registered in Ministry of Health, in polyclinic, and in hospital. And based on this program, the Ministry of Health is doing this event for the education of the patient and to give the patient some education for the diabetic, if he is the diabetic, and how he can control his diabetic, and what is the side effect which is responsible for this disease. Actually, based on the give the patient the glucometers and also give him more education for how they can use it. I think this is the goal and this is the objective of this event.
Welcome back. So that was a report which was all about diabetes awareness, diabetes education, as we always try to talk more about it so that people would know as to how it is that they could still be living a fit and a healthy life with diabetes. Now, we get to see that once you have a chronic illness, it is your choice whether you want to suffer with this chronic illness or you want to live happily with this chronic illness. Now, the best way for you is to make friends with your chronic illness. So be it hypertension, be it diabetes, if you know know what are the trigger factors for getting your blood sugar high or your blood pressure high, then you should be avoiding those things. We know that physical fitness and even something as short as a 20 to 25 minute of brisk walk could actually help you to have regulated blood sugar levels, and you should be going ahead with that. And of course, it is your choice. If you have a commitment to yourself and if you have a commitment to your family in order to live a good life while having still your chronic illness, by constantly monitoring your blood sugar levels and taking good care of your diet, and of course exercise at the end as well.
And the problem actually usually is that when you get diabetes, you would not have a cure. Actually, it would be with you for the rest of your life. And as we see, there was a national program awareness actually that was held, and yesterday there was a national program awareness for breast cancer, and we see how we're moving actually in order to aware people of this disease. Because once you get such a disease like diabetes or even the breast cancer or any other type of cancer, you wouldn't cure it actually. It would stay with you the whole life. And this is why we should sometimes change our actually eating habits, our food habits, where we eat many sugars, different times, no schedules, actually no workout at all, no drinking water as we mentioned, because water is always healthy. And this is what making the problems here, and even the high blood pressure where with the much of the salt actually we're eating as we're having lunch, almost the same lunch every day for most of the Saudis, where they eat very fat food and with the high salty as well. And this is what makes high blood pressure, and after that maybe some sweets and sugars in the afternoon, and this is would be making diabetes. Some of them maybe the breast cancer and the other cancers where you're not working out, you're not drinking water. And this is why the awareness programs are held for this purpose actually, in order to aware people of this. And actually the first stage to aware people should be through schools actually.
Absolutely, Ghazi. And at the same time, for people of all different ages as well. So it's not necessary that everybody would be, God forbid, and may Allah protect everybody from developing diabetes at an early age especially. But for lots of the people who develop it at older ages as well, so that means that after the age of 40, now there are very, very simple ways through which you can understand more about your chronic illness, which is diabetes, let's say. And you could know as to what are the ways through which you could be having an effective and efficient reading on your blood sugar test. So for instance, there are many of the different diets, like of late, one of the diets which has been really making the news is the sugar blockers diet. And it gives you details about what are the foods which are good for you as a diabetic person, what are the foods that you should avoid, what are the foods that could really, really get your blood sugar level high very, very fast. So sugar blockers diet is really a great way for you to live by if you have diabetes, especially type 2 diabetes, which is non-insulin dependent diabetes. In the old times, this is what they used to call it, 1 and 2. But nowadays, I mean, it was more like, it was like the insulin dependent diabetes and the non-insulin dependent diabetes, but now they say diabetes 1 or 2. So well, I mean, be it any kind of diabetes, you could have very efficient control of it, because lots of the times, Ghazi, people even get scared because they think that if they have diabetes, that means that they would have kidney problems and many of the other complications. But if you have controlled diabetes, it would not happen ever.
That's so true, but as you mentioned, the control is the most important thing. After having diabetes, you still need to care more actually than before, to control not to have kidney problems actually, or heart problems, or any other problems. But for diabetes, as we mentioned, we talked about nutrition facts, as many people just buy things without even looking at it, or when they look at it, some people still they don't understand what's written on it. And this is why we should actually make awareness program for this thing. How to be aware, how to read what is the content actually of the foods we're buying, even the soda we're drinking. And as you mentioned before, the fresh juice is maybe one of the high sugar, but many people still they don't know. They say I will drink fresh juice and it's a huge amount, and still, you know, it's got a lot of sugar as well as the soda and the other drinks.
Absolutely, but even fresh juices, Ghazi, this is something that I talk about a lot on the program as well, and many times, and I always emphasize upon the fact that it is good for us to be eating fruits. But nowhere, I mean, usually they say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So what happens if you drink like, you know, the juice which is made out of 6 apples, let's say. I mean, because usually when you stop at a fruit juice shop, or even when you make the apple juice yourself at home, usually people are drinking in glasses which are not meant for juices, which are tumblers. And we know in some parts of the world what those tumblers are actually
Some
used
are
for.
mixed with sugar and water as well.
That too, that is one thing, but even apples just by itself too. Let's say if you're a diabetic, apples are good for you. But if you're gonna drink this big a tumbler, which is gonna be full of apple juice, even if it's fresh apple juice, and probably it has 4 apples in it, it would get your blood sugar high because there is some content of sugar in all the fruits. So please try to avoid fruit juices, even if they are fresh fruit juices. And if you don't want to avoid them, have them in moderation, in a very, very small quantity. And another thing that you should never be touching, this is something that I always get in a bad mood, because I see that my father, being a diabetic, would always buy those soda cans and carbonated drinks. And it just gets my blood pressure high when I see him happily drinking from these cans of sodas and the different carbonated beverages, because each one, according to most of the people who have tried to research more about the ingredients, they have come out with the fact that each one has approximately about 12 tablespoons of sugar. Was it 12 teaspoons or was it about 12 tablespoons? One of the two, but even 12 teaspoons of sugar is very bad for you as it is.
Even 2 spoons actually. But as you mentioned, still as I heard some people when they order like some fast food meal or something, they would ask actually for getting the diet meal, actually the diet drink, while the meal actually is a big size, you know, with the fries. And even the bread itself, it has plenty of sugar. As most people, they might not know about this, but the bread itself is having this much amount of sugar, but they still keep asking for diet sugar in order to actually maybe it's psychological thing.
Well, Ghazi, yes, this is very, very true. And this is one of the reasons too that people with diabetes especially need to know more about it, because, you know, they feel like, oh, okay, because I'm a diabetic, so I should not be eating candies or chocolates. But they don't know about the hidden sources of sugar, so that, you know, places where high carbs could be very, very bad for you, such as eating a lot of rice could be bad for you, or such as things with hidden ingredient of sugar are bad for you, such as these carbonated drinks as well. So please try to know more about your food and think about yourself, because of course you do not want to suffer with the complications of diabetes. Having diabetes is normal, and I think that diabetes has become a household name, Ghazi. I think that was probably 20 years ago that we would not hear diabetes as commonly, or if we would hear about diabetes, we would see people putting the insulin injections mostly. But type 2 diabetes has become so very, very common, because if we want to have a snack, we go and buy a pack of biscuits. Now, a pack of biscuits which are sugar loaded and perhaps having some kind of different fruity or chocolate creams in the middle as well. These are all not good for you, and especially when you are going to be compromising on your health and buying the cheaper versions of these sugary biscuits, which you would really not even know what are the ingredients of. So please be careful and do yourself a favor by keeping yourself more educated and more aware.
Yeah, true. It's not only diabetes actually, it's many diseases that we didn't used to hear about like in the last 20 or 30 years. Like the high blood pressure and most of the cancers that are going nowadays, as well as actually the dinner is one of the most important things in order to avoid most of the diseases. Where people eat heavy dinner, it's always bad for your health. As the doctors always say, you got to eat a heavy breakfast. Actually, they said eat like have a king breakfast, you know, with variety of foods, and have like a prince for the lunch. And eat poor, you know, like a poor man for the dinner in order to sleep in a light way and to avoid most of the disease, because while you're sleeping your body is suffering actually with the plenty of food that you have already taken.
This is really true, and you would not be able to have restful sleep because your intestines are constantly getting a workout session and your stomach is constantly trying to digest the food. Sometimes. You have bad dreams, but at the same time you don't have restful sleep, so that means that your body organs would not be able to have proper rest. So when you wake up, you're going to be fatigued and tired.